All right. Hello. Anybody out there? So I see Karen, Kelly, Jennifer, Sarah, Dr. Shelley West. There's Dr. Laws.
Hi.
Hi.
He needs to work on his lighting a little bit.
I'm trying to stay in the dark.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's hot outside. All right, it's 5:59. I sent, I emailed the link back to everybody, so in case somebody didn't have it. So I think we're good to go. So let me see. Move that out of the way. We're recording.
I think we have everybody.
We've got everybody. Well, welcome. We're certainly glad you've joined us this evening. We'll try to be as brief as we can, which is not very brief, but we'll give it a shot anyway. I'm Dale Lamb. Steve Laws is with us tonight. We're going to do MELS 601 and 603 for you this summer. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Check your bill. Make sure you were charged at the master's rate, and make sure they took the $214 portfolio fee off. You should only charge $50 for task stream this summer, because I'll take care of that. We'll only have to pay an evaluator. So the $214 should be off, and they should be charging you at the master's rate so that we can get you in under $6,000. So double check on that, because I've been working on that today. So I'm going to start us out by looking at the syllabus tonight. Again, welcome everybody. We're pleased to have you. And I'll move through this. There are your books. I know you folks already have this. I have 2. Dr. Laws has 3. We have our dates and times marked here. I've highlighted them. The evenings and the weekends that we'll be meeting. That's the most important thing there. So let's look quickly at our weekly schedule. And so today we're going to do the overview of the APSEL and the OMA, the 2 evidences that you'll do for us this summer. We'll add those to 4 of your previous evidences for a total of 6, and that's what gets you your license. So you've already done 4 of them, and you'll simply move them over to a new DRF that we'll create for you in task stream as soon as drop add is over. We'll create, and I'll show you what it looks like tonight. Bring 4 over you already did. You add it to you do this summer, and you get your license, and we're golden. Costs $55 to add it to your license. Seth Opry, our licensure person, I know you all know Seth. He'll help you with that later this summer. So that's what we'll be doing, is working on those 2. Dr. Laws will be with you. He'll do the first half, the 601, the principal. I'll do the back half, law and finance. He'll have you the first weekend, and he has his laid out here. The second week, and then he has you 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row, 4, and then I have you June 25th, we'll start the first case study. We'll have needed started about 2 weeks before then. Get your group presentation together, and you'll write your reflection. Takes 10, 15 minutes, about a half page once we get through. But you'll need to work together to do your group presentations. I'll cover that when we get to my shell in just a minute. And then Saturday and Sunday, 29th and 30th, we'll both be there with you that weekend, and that's the Maxwell weekend. On Saturday, if we get through, I'll start the law and finance class on Sunday. If not, we'll do Maxwell all weekend. And then you'll be with me for case studies 2 and 3 and 4, and then we'll finish up with law and finance on the 27th and 28th of July. And so that'll be our schedule this summer. And so I do want to mention that both Dr. Laws and I do case studies, but please remember they're completely different. Dr. Laws does case studies in 601 that are thought-provoking and interesting, and there's a lot of different solutions and ideas. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach them. I do the ones for law and finance. There's only one way. You don't have to agree with it. That's not part of the process, but you have to follow it or lose your house or go to jail. So, that's kind of what you have to understand about what we're going to be doing this summer. It's 2 completely different courses, and the case studies will not be the same. Unfortunately, there is a right answer on the case studies that I do, and they are hot topics. They are current event topics. They are about the EC inclusion model. They're about bullying. They're about gender. They're about some pretty relevant things, but they're about what you have to do in public school to follow the law. So that's kind of the bulk of what we'll be doing this summer, those case studies. But just know that there's not really a right or wrong for Dr. Laws as long as your reasoning is good. There is a right or wrong for mine. I'll be gentle when I point out that you're wrong, but I will point out you're wrong. So I'll just give you the heads up on that one now. But we'll have a good time. We'll have laughs if nothing else. And so that's the schedule for the summer. I'll pause and catch my breath before I go to my partner here. We're going to let him kick off the night with his shell. Let me close this one and that one, and we're hit his shell. So Dr. Laws, you want to pick it up? I've got your shell on the screen.
Okay, so hello everybody. So I think we're going to have a whole lot more fun with mine than you will with Dale's, and so the shell is pretty simple. So let me begin with the evidence, and by the way, Dale and I go by Dale and Steve, so I hope you call us that. So the APSL, and Dale will talk more about it because MELS is his program, and I'm just blessed to kind of like be along for the ride. But you folks have done everything that the APSL requires in your EDCI program, and so you're going to just be shifting 4 of the evidences, or 3 of the evidences, no, 4 of the evidences that you've done that Dale will take care of and help you do. In this one, it's going to be more cut and paste. So you're going to go back and look at what is required with task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and cut and paste from work you've done in the past. Mm-hmm. But there's very little new work with the APSL that you'll do along the way. So I do want to point that out, but Dale will go over the evidences here in just a minute. Mm-hmm. But what I want to point out is if you look in Blackboard, it is updated now as of today, and each of you will see the schedule of activities, and each of you will see Dale, if we can go to, I'm glad you are maneuvering this because I'm nearly blind. The syllabus here, if you'll go back to the syllabus and the schedule of activities, each of you let's see, that's the syllabus. Yeah. If we
That's
can go to
the
the schedule activities, I think, Dale.
Okay.
This will let each of you know now that we have everybody in. So next Tuesday will be our first Zoom where it'll be with me and you. Apsil Task 1 is due to Blackboard. Dale will be going over that in just a minute. And what we do is look at your each task and make sure you're online and doing the right thing, and check it off, and you just go forward with it. And so that when you're through, you've progressed with each task. Now, some of you will want to get ahead of the game, and that's fine. If you want to do task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get it out of the way, that's fine, because a lot of yours in the Apsil is cut and paste. And let me say right now that Dale's end of it is more challenging than my end of it, because the OMA is a whole new experience for you, because law and finance is a new experience for you. For me, the instructional piece, the Apsil is just a PLC.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe all of you have plenty of experience with that. So this will not be challenging for you, but we do need to make sure that you address all of the components, and that's what Dale will talk about tonight. So we're gonna, we'll start with the book, The Principle. I've got it right here. Most of you have already gotten it, but it's really a terrific book, and I wish I'd have had it 20 years ago when I was a principal. But in it is good information and really good case studies. So we'll have a good time talking with it. So we'll begin presentations. And one of the things that all of you will pick up on is if you listen to me for 2 hours or 2 hours and a half, you would be bored out of your mind. So I do things a little different. You present and I kind of interrupt. And that's how we do class. And so 4 of you will present next Tuesday. It's alphabetical order. And so we'll do 4 of you next Tuesday, roughly 20 minutes apiece. I'll kick in, so they'll last about 30 minutes apiece. There's little chance that we'll be going past 8 o'clock when we're together for Zooms. So you can plan ahead. And then we'll be together for the face-to-face. We'll finish the principal book on June 1st. And Sunday we'll divide into 2 groups of 4 and do the case studies that are in the back of the principal book. And I think Dale will tell you, because he's a veteran of this book. I just had it for the first time last semester. But those case studies are really good in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a really great time next Sunday discussing that. So you'll get in your groups, talk about them, and then we'll just kind of do maybe a universal wrap up on Sunday. Let me talk about schedule while we're at it. We go 9 to probably 3:30 on Saturday. And so you know, I'll be, I don't feed you as well as Dale will feed you. You ladies are not going to believe what he will bring. But I will have biscuits and muffins and those kinds of things and some bottled water. You'll have a feast when he joins you later on. But we'll have plenty to eat. But we will not take an hour for lunch. We just keep going so that you can get through and get home. And that's how we approach it. Sunday, we can start whenever you want to start. And you can let me know Saturday, or you can let me know beforehand. My cohort this past weekend started at 8 o'clock, and we left at I think it was 10 after 1. So if that's what you want, that's fine. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you want to start at 9 o'clock, that's fine. But we'll be through Sunday. We work through lunch too, and so that's for your planning purposes. But Sunday we'll do the case studies on June 2nd, and then Dale will just keep on going down. I have another set of case studies, and Dale knows this guy, Carl Ashbaugh. wrote a case study book like in 1993. And there's some really fun case studies in there. So I've got them printed out. They're on Blackboard. You'll be able to link it up. And there's no preparation with that. We're just going to read them and talk about them. And one of the things that Dale and I talked about when we were talked to about doing this class was that the best way for all of us to learn, me, him, and you, is case studies. It challenges our thinking process and acquaints us with all the things that you will face as a leader. So all of them aren't great case studies. Some of them are outdated, but others of them are pertinent still today. And so we'll have a good time with Carl Ashbaugh. You'll see that. We'll talk about them in our Zoom sessions and have a good time with that. And then the next time we're together on a weekend is June 29th and 30th, and we do the Maxwell book. And so you know, EDLS uses the Maxwell book in its first course. It introduces us to the challenges of leadership, and these laws, if you will, I like that name since that's my last name, but these laws do acquaint us with some of the blessings and curses of being a leader. And so what we want from you is that you'll prepare 3 laws to present, and there they are. And then Shelley, you've got a separate piece, which is another Maxwell publication, which is the 5 levels of leadership. And so when you present yours, it'll kind of summarize the 21 laws, but it's a totally different piece of work from Maxwell. So that's how we decided to put this together this semester. I think we can get it all done on Saturday, with each of you doing 3 presentations of 15 minutes each. You get to choose 1 law, and we'll do a 10-page research paper on it. And that's that. Other than your evidences, is the big piece of this. And so we want you to dig really deep into a particular law, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you read this book. I've got to tell you, friends, that I think the Maxwell book will be a book you will keep. I know that you've had books over the history of your coursework that you've said, what an awful book, and get rid of it. But I think you will keep this one. John Maxwell is a wonderful speaker, a wonderful writer, and a wonderful theologian. Some of his laws he aligns with Christianity. Others he just talks about leadership. But in truth, all of them relate to leadership in the school. So I think we'll have a good time that weekend, and that will wrap us up. So I mean this seriously. You'll find that Dale and I play off of each other, but my end of it is your easier end of it, and I do want you to know that up front. And there's less work because you've already done a lot of this stuff. But what I hope from our end is that we have great discussion and we learn from one another, and that these case studies are meaningful and kind of ingrain in you some thought processing that you've got to have when you are in a leadership role in a school. Oftentimes we have to make a snap decision and don't have a lot of time to work our way through it when we're in a principal role or a superintendent role or whatever. There's not a lot of planning that can go into it. So our goal with this is to kind of give you enough of experiences through case studies and discussion that it'll just snap to you that you'll say, oh, I kind of know what to do here. And the truth of the matter is 90% of the time you already know what to do anyway. But we'll have fun talking about it. So that's my end of it. Does anybody have a question for me? Because when Dale takes over, I don't get to talk anymore.
With the research paper, Dr. Laws, though, do we choose one of the 3 laws that we are presenting on, or can it be any?
Yes, one of the 3 you're presenting.
Got it.
And I will tell you, I don't think any of you will have any law in there that you don't like. So it's not going to be a bad thing.
Okay, I have another point to clarify. The of the 3 laws, the presentations need to be 15 minutes for each of the laws, not a 15 minute together. Right. 15, 15, and 15, and then we'll pick one of those to do the paper.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
I didn't write it very clearly, but I'm glad you asked. And you'll smile with this, but when we put this together last semester, Dale and I, and it worked. I think if you have friends in the cohort we had last semester, they'll tell you we had a good time. But we had 23 in there, so it was 1 law per person, and it kind of worked. But we didn't want to cut you short of not going over every law, so we're trying to figure out how to cover all the laws, but not give you too big a burden in doing the presentations and the work. So the presentations are 15 minutes apiece, and of each of the 3 laws, but your paper is just with 1 law. And you pick the one of your 3.
Okay. Now, a couple of notes. If we run over on Saturday on your presentation, that's okay. We have Sunday as the backup day, and I'll let you out. I'll adjust my content on Sunday if we have to come in and do an hour or 2 to get everybody in. I don't want to limit anybody. This is really good stuff. The Maxwell, there's a lot of good discussion. I don't want to limit discussion. Don't feel like you have to rush through. If you have questions, we'll take any part of Sunday that we need to get through Maxwell. It's that important. It's kind of a crash course in leadership and school leadership. And it's really good stuff. And so don't worry about it if we run over. We'll be fine. Now, we'll get out at 2 o'clock that Sunday. On my 2 Sundays, we'll get out at 2. And I do bring a pretty big spread. I'll have a lot of food and a lot of things. But, again, we just work right through and we get out early on Sundays at 2. That Saturday, the last weekend of Saturday, Sunday, you'll get out Sunday at 2. And Saturday, I'll have you out no later than 3. I'll try to go earlier if I can. So 3 o'clock on Saturday, 2 o'clock on Sunday. Now, I do on my Sundays, I do devotional at 8:30. If you don't want to come for my devotional, I do a trilogy: Servant Leadership, Integrity, and Foundation of Christianity. And so if you don't want to come for my trilogy, you can come at 9 o'clock on Sunday mornings. But we do, Dr. Laws does guideposts from his church on his mornings, Sunday mornings, and I do. I take the best from my favorite pastors and do a trilogy for you. And we start those at 8:30. Breakfast will be there shortly after 8, and we'll start our devotionals at 8:30 on Sunday morning, and we start class at 9.
So we can start at 8 on my Sunday if you want to. It doesn't matter to me. 8:30 is fine. Whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. So, as Dr. Laws says, Steve said, the OMA is much more involved than the APSEL. That's our 2 evidences this summer. And for that reason, you will not have a research paper with me, because the OMA is going to be quite a lot. And so I would rather us spend our time on it. And to that end, let me quickly run through the 2 evidences. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the APSEL, because this is you folks are more expert than I am at this. And so let me go to it, and then we'll talk more in depth about the OMA, which is probably going to be a little newer for you. And so the evidences are organized in tasks. There are 5 tasks for the APSEL. There are 4 tasks for the OMA. The 5 tasks then has prompts. And so I've highlighted where you need to start reading. And then what you write about are your prompts. And you tell us about your PLC research, before people and other folks who are seminal work in PLCs, your PLC selection, and then hold a PLC meeting. And here's what you have to do to get your accomplished evaluation score and task stream. Then you do a needs assessment by looking at your standardized test scores. And here's what you have to do to get accomplished in that. And these are things you've already done. So a lot of this, as he said, is just going to be a copy and paste. And then in task 3, you're going to do an annotated bibliography, a review of literature, a quick review of literature, then an annotated bibliography of best practices to solve the problem that you've identified in your school from standardized test scores. And then you have an action plan. I like for it to be summarized in a graphic organizer. And then you'll reflect on the 21 competencies for administration. And so that's what you will do for the app cell. It's pretty quick and easy. Let me see. So this is in Dr. Law's shell, task and prompts. I have that and the scoring rubric. I also have for you an example of what an app cell will look like. I have a template for you to build it in if you'd like to, that's already APA formatted, has notes in it. I've got the work from before, norms, and a couple other things that will help launch you into this. Your template, it's really easy to use. When it pops up, your name here, that's your first IQ test. Don't turn one in that still says your name here. Put your name there. And then I have notes, what you should do. Take the red out and put yours in. And I've even given you an example of the graphic organizer that I like. If you do a PERT chart, I appreciate it, but it'll be over my head. I don't really do PERT charts, but you can do one of those if you want to. The organizer is required. Do a PERT chart if you want to, and then you will write the 21 competencies. There's a double. This is just an example of them. We'll give you the list of the 21 competencies. They're in here. But the app cell should be, this could be an afternoon. You could knock this out because you've already done your work. So it's fairly simple. So that's the app cell. It's just about knowing how to set up and run a PLC with norms, roles and responsibilities, who you put on there, doing a needs assessment, figuring out, looking at your test scores, figuring out your most pressing need, doing some research to figure out what works for a problem like that, putting a plan together, and then writing about the competencies that you have achieved by doing those first 4 tasks. And that's pretty much it. It's really not that involved. And so that's why you have a 10-page research paper that can be done in the same time, because this should take a lot of your time. Now, here's the bad news. When you get to the OMA, that we'll switch over to mine. The OMA is about organizational management analysis. Let's look to tax and prompts on this. This will be new work. This is going to be new to you. And so you will start out with basically, and here are your 21 competencies that you have to write about. And so the candidate will examine the school and its context, both internally and externally. You look at structures, management routines, operations. You basically tell us you develop a staff development program. In task 2 and 3, you build a schedule, and 4, you reflect on your competencies again. This first one is a bear, putting all those things together. So let's look at where we might, how this looks. And I have not added this material yet. I will add this material because I didn't want you to get in and get scared before I could have time to. So here it is now. Your template for your OMA is just that. It doesn't have anything in it other than where you put your tasks and prompts. It doesn't have all of those things because every school is different. But this will be your template. You leave everything in and just write in what you need. But I do have some things in here that explain where you might find these things. You got to look at your EC programs, your special populations, gifted EC, Title I, those kinds of things. You'll need to do a read through on this to make sure that you understand. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it tonight. I want you to look at it first, and then I'll come back with you and we'll look at it closer. Here's an example of what it's going to look like when you get through. And this one's about 60 pages long, and this one has pretty much everything in it that you need. Your app cell will be 10 or 15 pages long. This one will be 60. But you're going to be looking at the schedule. You're going to be learning about federal law, state law, instructional time. All that has to be factored into your schedule. You're going to be assessing your current scheduling process at the school. If you have a bad schedule, it's because you have a bad process. So I want to spend some more time with you on the OMA, but I'm going to do that later. We'll find a time for me to come online with you. I want you to be able to focus with Dr. Laws the first half, but I will spend more time with you on this, but give it a look through. Just understand that it's not going to be as easy as the app cell. But there's a lot to learn, but it's really good stuff for emerging school leaders. You will really get a lot of value out of the OMA. It's how to operate a school. You look at master schedule, duty roster, supervision schedule, how to plan instruction, planning time, duty-free time, all the operational pieces of a school. How to make sure you follow the proper scheduling protocol where you look at your federal programs first, then your state laws, then your local board policy, then best practices, then teacher input. In that, you learn basically how to have school, how the management side of it. So the first half of the course is how to be a leader. The second half is how to be an operations manager and manage your school. That's the part that's probably going to be foreign to you. So it's not going to be as intuitive as the first half. But we understand that. So that's what we'll be doing in terms of the two evidences. Let me quickly go to task stream and show you what it looks like. Again, once drop add has occurred, yours will magically appear. You'll get a task stream. If your account's not active, we'll reactivate it. And you'll get a DRF portfolio just like you've had before. And it's going to look, this new is going to look like this. Here we go. So here are the four that you're going to bring over. And they're just going to be met or not met. So if you bring it over, it's a met. You're going to bring over the CMA, the CFEP, the PE, and the PLP. And then you will add the two you do for us, the APSEL and the OMA. We'll submit to the state and you'll get your license. It's just that simple. So these four you import, these two you create. And you will submit them here in task stream for evaluation. You'll submit tasks along the way for evaluation. You can also ask for review if you want it. if you look, let me get out of the way. If you will look, in each of the shells, we have a place here where you do your weekly activities. We have a place where you can ask for our review. It's optional to see how you're doing before you submit it for evaluation. We'll give you feedback on it. If we don't think it's good enough to pass the independent grader, we'll let you do that. All right. So it's a pretty good system. Dr. Law does the same in his shell for the app cell. If you want him to review it, he will before you submit it. And then when you submit it, there's a drop box, assignment drop box for each of the 4 tasks, 5 for him, and then the final one. And then where you just get a screenshot of when you got evaluated in task stream and upload that. So that's how you get your points for the OMA. It's the same way for the app cell. We also have a turn it in check just before you submit it. If it's too big, I have multiple boxes, but it should be able to submit here and do a turn it in check. Now, we don't know if you're going to plagiarize this. This is to make sure that you have your references done properly, because it does go to the state. And when it goes to task stream, they will look at it for that. It does get turn it in task stream. So you have an opportunity before everything gets to task stream, where it's kind of permanent, to make sure that we think it's good, that there's no problems with your references. We tell you, you put it in task stream, it gets evaluated now. There is a back door in task stream, as you know. Work can be sent back one time for revision. I don't anticipate that's going to happen at all. But for those of you who are nervous that you might upload the wrong document, actually 99% of it is you've uploaded the wrong document. There is a back door. It can be sent back and give you the opportunity to upload the correct one and fix something that might be missing. But you just get one time on that. So you take advantage of these drop boxes here in your class shells. This one's mine. Steve's looks the same way. Let me go back to his. His looks the same way. He has a place where you can put your task in for review for app cell for him. You can do a turn it in check to make sure your references are done properly. And then you've got your assignment drop boxes where you can put all your pieces in for evaluation in his half as well. And we'll give you a score there that we think they'll give you when it's evaluated in task stream. And then once your task stream portfolio is done, once this is done, Seth ships it, and the end of the semester is over, you get your grade. 2 weeks later, when your transcript's available, this along with the transcript, you apply $5, fill out Form B, and you get administrator certification added to your license. It's a pretty quick and easy process. So that's what we're going to be doing this semester. Now, when I take you over, we do case studies. When we come online, you'll have met as a group and collaborated. You'll have a PowerPoint for me every week as your case study for your group. And let's look at my case studies. They're a little bit different because, remember, these are law case studies. Let me go back to my shell. And so when we look at case study 1, I've got the drop boxes to put the group presentation. And after we come online, and it takes anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, according to how many times I interrupt you, for your 2 groups to put in, to present your case studies. I'll make you the host. One of you will be the host, and you'll jointly present your presentation. And here are the directions of what to do. And here's the first one. Here's the first case study. And so what you'll do is you read Chapter 6 on school discipline, the principal's quick reference guide to school law. What should the principal's course of action be? Be sure to address the issues of due process, and the standards are arbitrary and capricious. Address the 4 ethical paradigms. And so on case study Zoom groups, I've got those. Here are your groups. Now, the ethical paradigms and the law, let's see. Under materials, the role of the principal, I can actually copy this into, I'll copy this into case study 1 for you. Here is 115C 288. These are the laws of the principal's responsibility. These are under one of the 545 general statutes that govern public education in North Carolina. 115C is public education. There are 545 statutes. This is one of them, 288, the duties and responsibilities of the principal. And also you have contractually the ethics of the school executive. This will be in your contract as well. When you get your job, there's 4 paradigms of ethics that you're charged with as an administrator in North Carolina: justice, care, and profession. So you have to judge your case studies against not only the law, but the ethical paradigm as well. So you will address both of those in your presentation. You'll address the law, and you will also address the ethics of the cases, because that ethical piece is one that'll get you. Because failure to maintain those standards will cause you as much trouble as breaking the law. So I will move that one over there to case study 1, so that you will have that when you start case study 1. And so each one of the case studies has directions as to what you're to do with it. Case study 2 is going to be on funding. You're going to have to read the Leandro case, which is the landmark case in North Carolina school funding. And again, you'll have to look at the law, and you'll have to look at the ethics, and then you'll write a reflection after you present. Case 33, excuse me. On gender and bullying. Excuse me 1 second. Let me get a little water. Again, we'll answer the questions, and you'll also look at the law and the ethics. Then case study 4 is going to be on the inclusion model. This one's got exceptional children. This one's got a twist. I went to the law update last fall. Richard Schwartz, the 3-day one in Raleigh. This has become a hot topic, and the complaints from parents are not coming from the EC kids. They're coming from the regular ed kids who are complaining about the EC kids being in class and taking time away from their child, and they're claiming that their child's not having an equal opportunity, access to education. So a little different twist on these, but these are the 4 hot topics according to Richard Schwartz. We've developed case studies around them. I hope you'll enjoy them. I hope you'll remember that these case studies are not about opinion. These are about law and fact. And so there is a right answer. And so we'll have a good time with them. I'll ask you 40 questions. Some of these you may not agree with. Agreement's not required. What is required is that you follow the law, because nobody can give you permission to break the law. So it's a little more cut and dry. You won't have, we may not have as much fun, as lively a discussion as you do with Dr. Laws, but I want you to get the law and make sure that you get it right. Let's see. I'm going to give you a gift tonight. On this one, since you all came tonight, my gift to you is 1 term that you need to make sure that you factor into this case. That term is zero tolerance. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure you factor in zero tolerance in this case. That's the part that everybody misses, and it is the crux of this case. So I'm going to give you a little hint on that and see if that you do a better job than the group last semester did. So that's the two halves of the course. That's the two evidences. We'll get you in task stream in a few days after drop ad. They don't allow any new accounts until after drop ad because we have to pay for those. They want to make sure that we don't scare you off tonight before they add you a task stream account. It's pretty straightforward. We'll have a good time. We'll have a lot of laughs. We'll tell some stories. You should tell stories too. You need to interrupt us and interject, and you need to be a lively part of this for it to work. We don't want it to be like breaking rocks. We want it to be fun. This is the most fun that we've had in a long time, or I have anyway. I'll say that. I enjoy this. The EDCI people, we just love y'all. Y'all were great. This semester, we had the best time ever, and that's what we expect this summer too. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. All right, it's time for me to take a break here for a minute and go to questions. Questions you have for us?
As they ponder questions, let me say again, one of the interesting things that we experienced the first time through was that I had a group for 601 and Dale was concurrently doing a group with 603, and then we flipped it at midterm. And the funny thing for me was when I got the group that had him first, the discussions with the case studies went a lot quicker because they had been versed in the law. and so when Dale says there's not, with me, with his class, there is a right and a wrong. It resonates because you will pick up on that. So I mean it in the most meaningful way, if you will, that with my end of it, we will have discussion of, and we'll go at it from every angle. And then it kind of narrows focus with Dale because there is a right and a wrong. And so when I had the group that had him first, you know, I would be sitting there, and you're probably going to wish you had him first now, but I'd be sitting there with the same material the second half of the semester, and I'd be through 30 minutes earlier because there was no discussion. They'd say, well, Dr. Lamb said that this is the law, and it would be over. So there is a method to this that when Dale came up with, and this is largely Dale's program. I mean, he inherited a little bit of it, but he's rewritten it. And there's a method to this that we want you to get this broad picture of the principalship and understand school-based leadership from that perspective. And then when he gets you attuned to the law and the ethics, then it narrows your focus. And honestly, friends, it's going to make your decision-making so much easier. And because it is really cool to look at somebody who wants to rake you out, and you look back at them and say, because it's the law, and I'm not going to jail for you. And it's really a cool thing. So we are going to have a good time this semester, and I hope you're looking forward to this. It is not a prohibitive amount of work. It is fun discussion to introduce you to an additional component from what you've had already with your experiences and with your education. So that's my piece.
Anything else?
I was going to put up now.
I told you we'd be out in less than an hour tonight. That's a first for me. But I do want to put in a plug for the EDCI folks. They didn't pay me to do this. They don't like me much, but I like them a lot.
That's not true either.
EDCI folks are just different. I've been married to one for 35 years, and so I have the privilege to say this. What I like about EDCI folks, and I'm saying this for a reason, is that you folks are wizards at instruction, and you're very good writers, and you're very clear writers. I don't anticipate that we're going to have to do a lot with you in terms of your writing this summer. I said that to say this. If you need help, it's not with the writing itself. It's more what to write than how to write. I know you know how to write, but if you need help, don't hesitate to ask us. I know this is new for you, and there's no shame in it. And y'all are better writers than we are, but I know it's hard to figure out sometimes what to write on things that are new. That's why we have these review boxes. I want to again remind you, we'll be glad to give you feedback on your work. And again, it's not so much on your writing style or ability, it's the content. That we'll be glad to help you with content. So please don't be fearful of, oh, I don't know any of this stuff, and I don't know if I can. You can do it because you have such great writing skills and instructional knowledge. You'll be able to work through it. It's just the learning of the material is a little bit new, but don't worry about that piece of it. We'll be glad to help you with the content. And your writing skills are so strong that that'll carry you right through. It'll be good. It will be.
Now, while I think about it, I need to tell all 8 here. You'll get the link to my Zoom via email, and it'll come to you either Monday evening or Tuesday morning, so you won't lose it in your email. But it's a recurring Zoom. So my link is different than the one you had tonight because Dale is the host tonight. So you'll know, you'll get an email from me either Monday night or Tuesday morning next week, and then it's a recurring link for the Zooms that we have.
Right.
So that'll go out. So be expecting that email.
So for mine, as you can see here, I have mine. Mine's a recurring link for my 4 after tonight when I'm on with you. My 4 times, it's here under course overview. I have the links here. And again, just like I did tonight, 5 minutes before we start, I'll send you the link again. So if you can't remember where it is, it's no problem. I always send them out right before we start on those nights. But I will see you. I probably won't see you that first weekend with Dr. Laws. I'm going to have to wean him and let him go on his own one time. And if he doesn't feed you well, you got to tell me. I'll be on him if he doesn't feed you well. We have to take care of our people.
It won't match his. I'm telling you, friends. If you're on a diet, you are in major trouble.
We got to take care of you now. We love our EDCI folks. We got to take care of them. We look after you well.
But you won't be hungry with me. I'll bring fruit too. Maybe a tangerine.
That brings the gnats in the summertime. You got to have real stuff, sugar and grease. All right. Anything from the group? We still got 10 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
I'll process this video and send it out to you. I know you want to watch this again. It's riveting.
Well, you're not going to want to watch this again. One last thing. If you need to talk, you've gotten emails from me. Please use my cell number, and you can call me anytime. And same with Dale.
Yes. Call my cell. I'm off the air
at night, but I know you do too. So
12:30. I'm off the air from 12:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. But other than that, you can call me and I'll answer my phone.
Well, I'm not guaranteeing that.
Yeah.
But I do get up at 5. So I wake up. So it's ingrained in Dale and me. We are old. But but I'm not going to take it at 12:30. I can tell you.
Yeah, I will. I'll take.
I'm not expecting any of you will call at 12:30.
No, but the idea here is we know that you work, you have jobs, and so you do a lot of this nights, weekends, holidays. You won't hurt our feelings if you call nights, weekends, or holidays.
Right.
We understand that you're working a real job, and we mostly just show up and loafer eat. So we'll take your call.
Yes, we will. And last thing, and we've said this over and over, but we do want this to be what you want.
Yeah.
So if there's something that we haven't covered or something you want to hear more about, I will say that between the two of us, there's not a whole lot we haven't experienced in some fashion. And so all you got to say is, I'd like to know more about blah, blah, blah. And we probably will have an immediate story about it, but if we don't, we will certainly have you information to help you. So we're excited. Dale and I talk all the time. We both have been with Gardner Webb. I've been a little bit longer than Dale, but not much longer. And this is the highlight. This is absolutely the highlight. We are absolutely loving this, and we want you to love it too. So thank you. Thank you for being with us.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Dr. Lamb, can you just hang on for one moment?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, no, like I just need to make sure you're informed of something. So you can like end the meeting.
Okay.